Welcome to Mishna study, Masechet Kilayim, Perek Vav Mishna Dalit. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to discuss hanging a vine over fruit trees. So if last Mishnah we spoke about if a person wanted to hang his vine over a non-fruit tree, so we said that is allowed, but he's not allowed to plant underneath the excess branch that the vine didn't spread over yet. Over here, we're going to speak about if he plants on it, he wants to hang his vine over a fruit-bearing tree. He hangs his vine over, some fruit-bearing trees. The excess, right, that the vine didn't spread over that branch yet, so it started wrapping up around half the branch. Now that second half of the branch, right, you allowed to plant underneath it? The Mishnah says yes, you're allowed to plant underneath that. You could plant grains underneath that. Now, let's say it did extend further. The vine started to extend over the grains. It doesn't make it asur. You just have to bring it back a little. Now, why? Why would this be different, right? If you're not allowed to plant underneath the excess of a non-fruit-bearing tree, then why would you allowed to plant under the excess of a fruit-bearing tree, of a fig tree? Why would you allow to plant over that excess, that second half of the branch that the vine didn't spread over yet? So Rambam asked this question, and he says, when it comes to a fruit-bearing tree, a person doesn't want to ruin his fruit, right? He doesn't want to ruin his figs by having the vine just wrap over it. It doesn't make sense. He doesn't want that to happen, right? That's what the Yerushalmi says, the Gemara. A person not even mevatel his fig tree for his grapevine, right? So therefore, we allow him to plant underneath the excess. Underneath that excess part of the second half, latter half of the branch, right? Because he doesn't want to go ahead and ruin his fruit, and therefore he's allowed to use it. And if it does extend, he needs to just bring it back a little further. Now, Maaseh, there was a case. Shalach Rabbi Yoshua etzel Rabbi Yishmael l'Kfar Aziz. Rabbi Yoshua went, followed after Rabbi Yishmael all the way to Kfar Aziz. And he showed him a grapevine that was literally wrapped around, was hanging over a fig tree. So he said, he asked him, what can I let this vine spread over the balance? Right? Again, it's a fruit-bearing tree. Amarlo, mutar, you're allowed to. He went ahead and took him to another place, Bet HaMagnia. And now he showed him a vine that was wrapped around a korah. Korah is literally a beam. And there was a sadan shel shikma, right? So Rambam explains this to be also a fruit-bearing tree that had many korot, branches coming from it. Now, Amar Lo, explain, what do you tell him? Tahata korah asur, under that one korah, that one wooden log is going to be asur. Ve'ashar, and the rest of the logs is mutar. Okay, so now we need to explain what exactly this is. I actually have a note over here. I asked this to Rabbi Aluf a few years ago, and he actually explained it as such. And explaining it as such, he actually alleviates some of the kushot that, some of the complexities that Tosafot Yom Tov actually ran into. So I'm going to explain it based the way he explained it. I think really things chat over here. So he went ahead and he saw a sadan shel shikma, right? He saw the gefen, the vine, and it was wrapped around miktzat korah, a part of a beam. Now, this beam was literally a log of wood that wasn't part of the tree, but he attached, if you look at Harambam, I think this is the way to explain Harambam, he attached a beam, a wooden beam to this tree. Okay, so it's an attached piece of wood to the tree. Now, additionally, that sadan shel shikma had many korot, meaning regular branches that grew from the tree. So we have to explain, the way to explain this is that he attached a piece of wood to the tree, a log to the tree, and there are also branches that were growing from the tree. And what did he tell him? Under that one attached log is asur. Why? Why? Because we're going to treat it as if it's part of the shikma. We're going to treat it as if it's part of the part of this type of fig, right? This type of fig tree. And because it's attached to it in right now, it has the law of an ilan ma'achal. It has the law of a fruit-bearing tree. But everything else that's growing from that tree, right? Everything else that's growing from the sadan shel shikma, that is going to be allowed. That's fine. That you could wrap around, right? Because it has the law, like we said above, as a fruit-bearing tree. So that one korah has the deen of the apifiorot that we mentioned in last Mishnah, right? Because it's an attached piece of wood. But the rest of the branches we treat like a fig-bearing tree, and it's mutar, right? So that really sums up our Mishnah, right? We had an actual case that spoke about it, but the main difference is when it comes to a non-fruit-bearing tree, right? You're allowed to. You're not allowed to plant under the balance, right? Everyone agrees you're not allowed to plant under the vine, right? You're not allowed to plant under the vine. But what about the second half of that wood? So if it's from a non-fruit-bearing tree, you're not allowed to plant underneath. But if it's from a fruit-bearing tree, you are allowed to plant underneath.